day. Today we have the great privilege of talking about how we're going to integrate OpenCog Hyperon with the SingularityNET Decentralized AI platform. Of course, the entire goal of SingularityNET is to build decentralized AGI that's owned by everyone and no one. And an absolutely critical component of that is making sure that our platform supports and integrates seamlessly with AGI, such as OpenCog Hyperon. So today I'm joined by Matthew Clay, Chief Science Officer of SingularityNET, Alexey Potapov, Chief AGI Officer of SingularityNET, Sergey Shalyapin, the Chief Technical Officer of SingularityNET, and the wonderful Albina Pomogolova, Head of Blockchain Development at SingularityNET. So welcome very much. Thank you very much all for being here, joining us for this discussion today. Thank you again, Alexey and Matt, for joining us on almost all the Tech Tuesdays so far. And then it's wonderful to have everybody here today to have this really cool discussion on integration of these two technologies. So I think one of the things that we talked about on the last session, I'd love to dive into and talk about again, is the kind of a proof of concept of the Meta SDK for the platform itself, right? This is one of our tightest integrations so far of the two technologies. I don't know, Matt or Alexey or Sergey or Albina, I'd love to hear your overview of this system and what it promises now and into the future for decentralized AGI on the platform.
Well, maybe I can repeat and a little bit elaborate on what we mentioned last time. So from the very beginning, the idea behind SingularityNET was to have a sort of decentralized collaborative mind which is composed of different AI services and agents. And what is important from the very beginning, we considered that OpenCog will be a part of how these services are glued together. And this was in our white paper, but back then we didn't have OpenCog Hyperon. We had OpenCog Classic. But right now we are at the point when we can start applying this new version to which we devote this technical Tuesdays. And while there already was considerable research on how AI services can be composed together based on AI SDK, AIDSL, because services should know how to call each other, what results expect from each other, and so on. So they should kind of communicate to each other in a sort of language, and the domain-specific language for artificial intelligence agent we call AIDSL. But right now we approached to the state when we can do this in practice. Not well, of course, experiments with AI DSL were also in practice, but the pieces were still separated. But right now we can call services from Hyperon, in particular with the use of meta language. And since we are considering right now software engineering part of this problem, we of course need to have something beyond or maybe more basic than AIDSL, which will allows AIDSL to operate on the platform itself. So AIDSL should be a part of the platform, but the platform is services themselves with blockchain and IPFS to store service specifications and so on. So it still needs something in addition, and what this additional component is basically SDK. So SDKs were initially developed for the platform, but they operated on a very low transport level with the use of gRPC and protobuf specifications, which is a very tiny step towards AIDSL, because these protobuf specifications, they also contain some information about services, but it's far from enough to construct meta services for automatic composition and discovering of services which can be suitable and useful for solving the user tasks. So we need to go to make further steps beyond this, and basically we have started developing Meta SDK as something which brings together AI DSL development, which has already been done to some extent, and the platform SDK, which operates not on an AI level, but on just a transport level. So Meta SDK combines these two components, and right now we can make calls to services from Meta, and this is a very important step, because it opens the door for us to design specifications of services in Meta itself. The basic idea is to have the possibility to call services on the platform from Meta just as ordinary Meta functions. And because Meta is a multi-paradigmatic language which combines declarative reasoning, functional programming, and so on, it also enables to reason, to start reasoning about this calls to services. So we can have declarative specifications of services in Meta, and it immediately allows us, well, not immediately, because it has not yet been done, but it makes it extremely easier to start working on reasoning in Meta about real services on the platform, and to start experimenting with real service composition and so on. So this is the main idea behind Meta SDK. But I believe that Sergey and Albina should talk more than me or Matt, because there are much rarer guests here. So I cut myself off.
Yeah, that's absolutely a wonderful overview, and thank you so much. AIDSL is such a critical and visionary component of the platform. The platform has always been envisioned as this space of collective intelligence of AI itself, this ability for AI to combine, to utilize each other, to make calls to each other, um, to have a higher level of crowdsourced intelligence among AI, like we do among people at our best. And the ability for an AI service to understand what another AI service does, and the inputs it needs and the output it will provide, is absolutely critical to having these composable, self-composable workflows in the future, or even composed, more manually currently. And it's so critical to make sure that these pieces can compose and can interoperate. And AIDSL, just, I mean, funded in Catalyst Fund 7 by the Cardano community in part, it was such a visionary piece of this puzzle. And now we're really seeing it come together through the meta language, which is just amazing. So, Sergey, Albina, anything to add to to how that process is shaping in the platform development?
So to be honest, yeah. Because currently, as I can see, it's quite a throne and new technologies that we're trying to put all together and make this intercommunications between subsystems to provide really new type and high level service. That takes a bit of time, to be honest, because even Python SDK, which can be used as a first layer for Meta SDK and wrapping most of the functions, that also takes some time to understand how correctly to reorganize something inside of it to make it a bit more flexible and possible to reuse for maybe some other types of SDK which can be done. So to be honest, I think that our teams currently hardly working on such type of actions like reassuming and rethinking different ways of how exactly should we progress on the SDK development and like different platform functions improvements, because that is really significant on how exactly everything will go when we have some basic understanding of like where we're trying to come and what are the expectations, and we have these dialogues to understand understanding between each other on tech level, that provides us the opportunity to move in a correct direction to provide needed functions. So even sometimes we may be a small blockers for Alexa's team, for instance, because sometimes we have a bunch of things that needed to be fixed in order to provide a better opportunity to interact with it. But based on this feedback and communication, we can shape it really nicely. So, and it opens some more different ways of how exactly platform can evolve and what exactly can be changed inside on the tech level of the architecture. So we can provide other types or maybe even other types of SDK under the platform, which will provide other significant functions that are really important in order to provide a correct possibilities for the users to interact with the platform, because for now we had some issues with that. But in any case, for even Meta, that sounds like we will have a pretty new high level of the platform development in this case, because that will provide really new type of service. I assume even maybe it would not be so visible for the final user who exactly will call the service, for instance, but that would be really visible for the developers and AI developers. So they feel this difference between these types of how exactly this interaction between the platform and the different services inside can be done, how exactly the service can be developed and onboarded on the platform. Because to be honest, as we can see, the first priority for us before was like general updatement of the platform and some small fixes inside it. And currently our main action was done towards like onboarding process for sure, because we have to improve a lot of things yet to provide really high quality service. I mean, interaction between users and first communication with the platform itself. But in any case, in parallel with this track, we highly concentrated on the new actions which can provide a new type of even technologies connected between Meta and AIDL and platform itself. So, and maybe there's some other stuff would be interconnected, not sure which exactly would be covered due to our discussion here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I will just fully agree with Albina. And yeah, Meta SDK, as was said before, was designed for self-composable, beautiful workflows, and maybe even self-composable workflows running AGI class tech stack in distributed compute environments, to formulate it from the beginning to the end. But what we see, in fact, so we have the currently running platform infrastructure, including ecosystem of SDKs, including Python SDK, JavaScript SDK, we even have Java SDK, and we're gonna have Meta SDK, which is mostly advanced and more AGI-ish component, mostly conceptually beautiful, to connect all of the dots. And what we witness now, that development of Meta SDK is also reshaping the development of all the other stack and lets us improve all the other components. Not exactly dedicated like just for direct interconnection or direct functional calls from Meta to AI services. So all the ecosystem of components is improving under the pressure of development agile-driven components such as Meta SDK. So it's a really, really good driver for all development process.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much. We're seeing one of the big growth space of AI right now, the LLMs, which are currently the most advanced AI systems kind of operating at a massive scale. The biggest innovations are these LLMs that are able to draw in other types of AI processing, AI systems, and do more tasks, right? Can it do a web search? Can it do code development? Can it also generate an image? Can it build you a web page? Can it book travel or at least find flights for you, right? So this integration between different capabilities is well, the promise of AI, right? That an AI isn't just doing one task well, a narrow AI, that it's able to do lots. And by enabling AIDSL, Meta SDK on the platform, we're enabling that to be built into how SingularityNET will run narrow AI and AGIs in the future, where the AI itself, the AGI itself, will have access to a wide range of capabilities. Anything that gets built on the platform can then become a capability of any AI, as long as it's specified clearly enough that it can be utilized by other AI services. And let me just make a quick shout out to all of our, and congratulations to all of our successfully funded Deep Fund Round 4 projects, which are going to be the newest batch of projects that help drive development of the platform, drive improvements to onboarding, drive improvements to the Meta SDK, and really get to help co-create how this platform, the platform in the marketplace and everything shapes, right? We're co-creating with the community and with AI developers. So congratulations to all the winners. Thank you to everybody who submitted a proposal, and better luck for anybody who didn't win this time, and please submit again in future rounds. But it's exciting to see this new crop of AI services that run the gamut. There's such a wide range of winning projects, and I'm really looking forward to how they will integrate into all these systems. So I'd love to touch, Matt, perhaps you could touch a little bit on the SingularityNET Platform Assistant, which is related to AIDSL and yet a little bit different as well.
So I would argue Alexei actually is the one, his team's been building the platform assistant. But in the bigger scheme of things, I'll touch on that, but I'll pass that off to Alexei in a bit. But I'd like to kind of maybe emphasize the kind of interaction between, what Albina and Sergey, the basic platform, the marketplace, the services that are there, the beautiful introduction that you gave to the essentially crowdsourcing of foundational services on that platform through deep funding and requests for proposals in particular directions aimed at more Hyperon development. And the other piece, that the Meta SDK that was mentioned, which I kind of view as a glue or a communication between the basic platform and these more fundamental R&D projects that Meta is perfect for, that have been conducted for the automatic composability and synthesis and discovery between services, so that this particular Technical Tuesdays, everything on the platform, I think, has been coming together. And I see that certainly in the AIDSL research, using the Meta SDK and the Meta language, which is so flexible and designed for self-composability and self-modification. But there's some hard problems, both on, throughout the whole process. Albina emphasized a lot of the technologies on the blockchain and platform side, but there's also hard research problems that have just been slowly knocked down one by one by our research team to enable this self-composability in a non-brittle manner, so that the services can achieve what you want them to without, one of the hard problems is, you combine them, but that doesn't work if their inputs and the outputs don't easily match. The Singularity Assistant, it was conceived to, as a certain extent, as a separate layer that forms a kind of an intermediate use case and to interface with the platform, connecting users and the platform in an easier manner. And I'll defer to Alexei to talk more directly about the assistant, the platform assistant itself.
Well, as Matt has said, there are numerous connections between the SingularityNET platform assistant and Meta and platform, of course. And it would be easier to talk about the platform assistant after talking about knowledge layer, because it's also a use case for our system, which combines LLMs and knowledge graphs on the platform in Meta. So going step by step, I would, of course, start with, since we have just talked about Meta SDK, I'd continue with the MetaMotta library, which incorporates LLMs into Meta. So LLMs can be called from Meta. They can be composed. Prompts for them can be arranged as a result of some symbolic processing. Different paths can be chosen on the base of knowledge stored in the atom space and on the base of reasoning and so on. And MetaMotta is one of the earliest use cases for Meta SDK, because right now MetaMotta is using just third-party LLMs, and these LLMs are not stored on the platform. I mean, the platform already has a bunch of services, but we need to be able to flawlessly call them from Meta, and we are getting very closely to this stage. So basically, we want to, as our nearest goals in our roadmap, we want to use Meta SDK in MetaMotta in order to call LLM-based services from the platform within it. And this is one story. Another story is that the SingularityNET Assistant is using LLMs, in particular, together with Meta, using MetaMotta. And it's both the platform assistant is using LLMs, and it is a use case for developing this technology further. So it's about technology behind the assistant itself, but the assistant should also use AIDSL and Meta SDK in a different way. It should use them to find service compositions, as Matt mentioned. So when we have a natural language request, we can process it using LLMs, and if we are using Meta SDK and the Meta model libraries, then we can call them from the platform, and then we use Meta SDK and AIDSL in a different way to find services which are usable for this user request. So we use Meta SDK, Meta Mota, and AIDSL twice in AI Assistant. First for natural language processing through this knowledge layer on the platform, and then for composing actual services. But right now it's Sergey's team who continues work on the assistant. So I believe maybe Sergey would like to add something.
Yeah.
And actually services, LLM-based services are also deployed by Sergey's team on the platform.
The point about the most interesting thing about SingularityNET Assistant is just we went away from a temptation to make it simple retrieval augmented generation on the first stage. So we really designed it to be more advanced solution, and went to deeper development to concentrate all of the achievements we can have in such a flexible system. So not just making AI assistant answering simple questions or doing some kind of retrieval on simple descriptions of services, but to go far and in fact drive composable AI tasks in future. So it's a much deeper solution than it might be. For example, working with retrieval augmented generation is so simple that potentially we can deploy something like in a couple of weeks, and that will work somehow. But we truly feel that assistant with using of AGI class platform should be much smarter. So that's why we're looking forward to integrate it properly with knowledge graphs, and these knowledge graphs would be driven by MetaMoto library to put all this narrow symbolic approaches together to make it work at scale. And afterwards, we will come just to some simple tricks. For example, maybe we'll deploy this assistance in social networks to make it super simple to use. Maybe to operate some like personalized functions, and we'll propose personalized knowledge nodes to put the private data in on the side of the user to process it on end devices, and to propose transparent process to work with this data via blockchain functionality. So there are a lot of interesting things we might do here with SingularityNET Assistant. We are more focused. I just mean that we are more focused on core functionality and technical stack to make it advanced from scratch than on some shiny stuff that could be like simply used and demonstrate some simplified use cases.
Well, maybe to make things clearer, we need to say a few words on the tasks the platform assistant is supposed to solve. And there is a variety of tasks. Some of them are simpler, and when Sergey is talking about retrieval augmented generation solutions, it's of course about simpler tasks like some general questions about the platform, some questions about services. For example, what services on the platform are useful for image processing or something like this, and such questions can be answered to some degree with retrieval augmented generation. But the SingularityNET Assistant was envisioned as something closer to a meta service, which can indeed not just answer some simple questions, but can in the future execute services to deliver results to the user, and not just executing particular services, but for solving problems. And here we go from just a platform assistant to a meta service, which can try at least solving a variety of problems. And one additional thing which we considered when in discussing the platform assistant is the help for the developers. And for example, if a developer asks, how should I make calls to this service, or please write me a code to do something like this and this, and this code generation stuff. Of course, it is solvable to a certain extent using pure LLMs. But we can see that code generation capabilities of LLMs are quite restricted, even in some narrow domains. And we, of course, can fine-tune them and do some other tricks. But basically, we always end with the necessity to check what has been done by LLMs, if we are using LLMs for this. And we go back to AI SDK, which AIDL, which can formally verify solutions produced by LLMs. We are not doing this research right now because, as Albina mentioned, the work on Meta SDK also helps to reshape more base level SDKs. And after this process is finished, after the client side and server side will be refined, it will make much more sense to start working on helping users and developers to call services, to write services, and so on. So it's very important to mention this task on writing code for platform services, maybe smart contracts as well. But this is the domain of Sergey and Albina, so maybe they would like to add something.
To be honest, I think this function that maybe someday it will be available via platform assistant to make it possible to generate some code, maybe for the service, or even it can solve somehow some problem with the UI creation. So basically, we are solving it from the other perspective. We are trying to provide a tool which will make it simpler and easier, and we're thinking about the ways how exactly this process can be automated, even, to be honest, because currently the team is actively working on UI sandbox creation, which will make the things easier, because one of the main blockers for like service providing for users usually that is UI creation. That was some type of surprise, but I think for like it's not a very usual task for developers, even for developers who are making some software. I mean, so, and basically the idea that maybe it would be someday covered by SNET Assistant, that would be also very interesting, to be honest, like a new feature function. And to be honest, we're waiting for that. But coming back for even your sandbox, for instance. It makes sense that even this interaction, which we already have, it provides us the opportunity to think about other ways how to solve our current, like, if I can name it, like, issues which we made and we want to solve, even coming back to UI generation. So for now, the first version of this tool would provide the opportunity, like some template which can be reused in real time, so you can check your UI code to understand how exactly it should look like, what exactly should be done to suit to marketplace, for instance. But the second main step is to understand how these UI services can be auto-generated based on profile, for instance, which makes sense because basically service provider already provides us all of the main information which we have and which can be maybe reused even for creation this UI in a bit more automated or semi-automated mode. This is not the easiest task because basically profile currently does not contain needed information for the UI creation. I mean, we cannot understand from the code what exactly should be pre-generated, for instance. But coming back to AIDL, this type of like development may even let us solve this issue, to be honest, because it may contain the needed information, and basically this one layer will cover most of the problems that that occur now and would be solved by this layer as well. So this like AI directed development solves not only AI related problems but also problems connected with the development, because basically for the AI developer it would be much easier to provide a configuration in one way, and we can extract all of the needed information for different models of the platform, not only for AI service functioning and, for instance, demand and other components of the platform that we have, but also to support the user bit and take some other information which is needed, and that is really significant to make this type of development even robust and fast enough. Because I think the main goal to make the opportunity to interact with AI and to be the developer of AI to the most amount of people which is possible. So like to make this level of comment to the sphere lower, so most of the people will understand the power of AI, which is pretty near to use, and everyone who wants can do this. I think that is really also very important about that.
Matt, you look like you have something to say. No.
Yeah, so I had a lot. I was thinking a lot about this conversation. I think it really brings a lot together, and so I want to pull back a little bit to kind of a grand vision, which is AIDSL and how that relates to SingularityNET Assistant, which again then and Meta SDK and how that relates to the platform. So huge picture, if you think about at a grand level, is Minsky's Society of Minds, which is the decentralized services on, the services on the decentralized platforms, communicating with one another, building new services. So there's a huge concept here, and Alexei mentioned the knowledge layer with the LLMs and the knowledge graphs. So one thing that the AIDSL team did look at really closely was Hugging GPT, which is an LLM-based model for finding and composing some services. We Neil Geisweiler played around with it. It's remarkable in some ways, but we all know how LLMs hallucinate. And it was like, it sounded to him like trying to use the spate of AI assistants on the web, especially when they're connected to internal databases. It quickly devolves into a lot of unsavory language against the AI assistant. And so that's a hard problem. It's a very open-ended problem, very little structure. And in some ways, the SNet assistant is a more structured version less open, and maybe that's not the right phrasing, but less open-ended. You can have certainly open-ended conversation, but it's not going to be, I'm not sure what the word is I'm looking for, but it's more limited in scope, and so to certain tasks, to respond to certain queries, and so it kind of takes a lot of, and as Alexei alluded to, there's this proof system, not necessarily 100% proof, but certainly guiding AIDSL. It's like, well, we have a really good chance that this combination of services will work. You don't want to be, say, hey, build me this service. You build it, you pay the money to run the service. Fine, there's some ideas with a money back guarantee, but if it only works 50% of the time, you've just wasted half of your time. So how do you combine that level of usefulness through verification that the combination will work? And all of that at some level hinges upon the platform. So you can start to see these difficult problems we're working on, the platform design, and then the interface with the meta language, which is what I would argue is making everything really as successful as it is. I'll leave that for
Absolutely.
others.
I love the parallel here between these two processes, right? It looks, SingularityNet is doing an amazing amount of projects. It can get hard to keep track in some ways. But the parallel here that makes these so easy to kind of put together is AIDSL becomes this interoperation layer between AI services, so that an AI service can understand other AI services and how to call it, and if it's useful to an end. Where the SingularityNet Platform Assistant becomes this interoperation layer between humans and the platform in multiple layers, in multiple ways, as Sergey was pointing at. The Platform Assistant can both help an AI answer an AI developer's questions on onboarding or other services, or how the platform works. It can help a user just understand the platform itself. And then it can also help you call services, right? So a critical piece of utilizing the platform is service discovery. And that's true whether you're a human or another AI, as well as composability and understanding the service itself. So building this communication layer where humans can interact seamlessly with the platform, either through the knowledge base, answering questions, or through interacting directly with services, and then AI services can interact seamlessly with each other, so that everything can be a really fruitful ecosystem that is reinforcing and accelerating and exponentially useful, powerful. And then I think, Sergey, you were pointing just a bit about integrating that SingularityNet Assistant with social media as well. So, for instance, from Telegram, being able to call in the future the SingularityNet Platform Assistant and assemble a set of services and get an output. We've talked about, I've talked with Matt before, there was an idea for an example of how AIDSL might work. So perhaps in Telegram, you're like, hey, I like this song. I want to hear it in another language. I want to hear it in Chinese, right? And being able to talk with the assistant, and the assistant can suggest or compose services that would, take the song, split it with the song splitter, take the lyric track, turn it into a transcript, translate that into Chinese, and then turn that into a singing voice, a Chinese singing voice, and then overlay that back on the musical track, right? So you can assemble a service that does something cool and nifty that no individual service can do by itself, and it would be hard to do all the time consuming to do all those pieces. But you can imagine an AIDSL SingularityNet platform assistant that can begin to assemble these types of cool workflows based on what's on the platform. But it becomes important for, if SongSplitter only takes MP4s, you need to have it in an MP4 format. And if it outputs the text in, a .text, it needs to make sure that the text service it calls to transcribe can understand the input type it's getting, how the information is contained within that file type, how it will be processed, what we'll get at the end, and whether that will be what services can work with that output. And by bringing all this together and building a really robust tech stack, as Matt says, as we've pointed at, having AIs that can do more than just their one AI thing is the future utility of AI, and gets us ever closer to a sort of generality. And this tech stack really enables that. I hadn't realized before how integrated the SingularityNet Platform Assistant would be with the knowledge layer. That's really exciting. I'd love to hear a little bit more on that, if there's anything anybody has to share in that direction, how the knowledge layer is developing, and how this will pull from that rich source that we're looking to build and create right now. Perhaps Sergey has updates on the knowledge layer. You're muted.
Oh, yeah. Just to finalize a bit on SingularityNet Assistant. Yeah, maybe the main feature here is to bring the platform on a distance on one click for any potential end user. So it's a bit ambiguous to speculate about one click in typing the text, yeah, paradigm. But anyway, for example, voice message, it's still one click. So someone sends, you send the voice message, and you're starting to get this composable workflows on the fly. That's the main point of SingularityNet Assistant. But regarding knowledge layer, that's also relevant, because knowledge layer and Internet of Knowledge concept SingularityNet is working on brings the beauty into utilizing diversity in AI, because regarding applied AI, at least, we witness unification, and the same paradigms of training the models dominate for years, and they improve just in tricks and a bit more data, and there's some really fruitful competition, and they're getting better and better. But anyway, we're getting stuck into computing paradigms, into AI training paradigms, and we are facing the same issues, just with some variety, by using different methods of evaluation. So Internet of Knowledge first brings diversity, and diversity in knowledge processing, and diversity in knowledge acquisition, and that's conceptually really, really beautiful, and aligns with distributed compute really well, and decentralized networks really well. But generally, at the same time, distributed knowledge can be processed directly by this meta-driven functionality, and in combination with the AIDSL, using MetaMoto and this integration nodes, into the integration components of the platform. So that's the direct path to the heart of AI, and this heart of AI can intercommunicate with the wide variety of knowledge which is created by the network of contributors at scale, which is dynamically updated and dynamically augmented. That's a really, really, really beautiful concept. So in fact, we might have not only architectural advantage under simplified approach, like, for example, retrieval augmented generation, which is in fact prompting, which is in fact a trick, but just a trick. But having something really, really beautifully and fully grounded, but utilizing the knowledge which have been processed and acquired and distilled by purpose, and now it's used on the fly with really high dynamics. And generally, we are building on top of level of solutions we use right now, and get rid of hallucination problem conceptually, because that lets us separate knowledge right away. And just imagine an assistant which operates knowledge directly and deals with not some particular knowledge focused on subdomain or some downstream task, but having access to wide variety of knowledge acquired in different ways to achieve really well grounded and distilled, like final knowledge, which you don't need to recheck once again, or deal with dynamical environments which can change every 100 milliseconds, and you just need to be aware factually right now what's going on, what is the fact, are you getting the latest information and the latest knowledge which was acquired from the latest information, which was acquired from the latest version of data which is available on the network.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very excited by all of this. We've had a couple of questions about SingularityNet integration, how the integration with NewNet and Hypercycle is progressing, and it's definitely a topic that we want to dive into, because the integration plans that came out of Istanbul are so exciting, but it is an extensive topic that will require quite a bit of time. But the bottom line is it's extremely exciting, and there's as Sergey would say, a beautiful plan on the horizon here that we're all very excited about. There was a Mindplex podcast episode with Tufi and Ben a couple weeks ago. Perhaps our SingularityNet helpers can find and link that in the channel. I definitely encourage everybody to go watch that. Ben and Tufi dove in to how that integration is going to work in a really amazing way. So, and we'll have a deeper dive here in the future, as well as just we're looking to pull in the distributed atom space team to give an update on that process, which is also incredibly exciting, and they're in process of deeply integrating with NewNet and distributed compute as well, which again feeds into this knowledge layer system of how can we build a really robust, powerful, decentralized internet of knowledge layer that becomes a resource for AI and AGI into the future. So I think we're short on time. Are there any closing thoughts that anybody would like to end on for Hyperon and platform integration? Otherwise, I think we'll sign off for the day. I do want to say AGI 24 is coming up. If you are interested in learning more about Hyperon and the progress that's being made, there will be a specific demo and dive into Hyperon and the Rejuve Bio platform using AGI-ish systems for longevity research. So the conference will be August 13th to 17th in Seattle. Registration is open, so you can register to attend live. Should you be fortunate enough to be able to go to Seattle on those dates, you can also register to attend virtually for free. We want everybody to understand the state of AGI, where it stands from the most advanced AGI researchers in the world. So I encourage everybody to register and attend. We also have a number of meta language RFPs that are in planning and progress, will be offered through the deep funding system soon. So that's something for the community to look forward to. And in preparation for that, these will be RFPs for people to develop products and help build out the language, robustify it, and build a corpus of meta text that we can actually train LLMs on. There's a meta study group on Friday that can help you prepare to propose for those RFPs. We'll have a link in the chat and in the channel as well. If you're interested in attending, sign up through the form. And again, big congratulations to all the winners on Deep Fund Round 4. Thank you to everybody who proposed for Round 4. There were far more brilliant proposals than we could possibly fund, but we look forward to seeing those proposals that didn't make it this time back for next round, and a fresh crop as well. And we look forward to seeing the Meta RFP process kick off in the meantime between now and the next round. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much, Alexei. Thank you, Sergey. Thank you, Albina, for sharing all of this exciting information and really fleshing out to everybody how this is all going to work and how SingularityNet's future is shaping with AGI and the platform and decentralized, beneficial AGI for the world. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next week.
One additional demo at AGI 24 that I know Adam Vanderborst is working on the interface for, and that's going to be a demo on, and I forget what MORC stands for, but it's Meta Reduced Kernel, I think, but it's going to be MORC and Mindy. So just an FYI.
We have a number of cool demos and amazing papers shaping up.
And I think there's some additional ones that are being looked at. So,
all right. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing everybody again next week.